2020. Call this meeting to order. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I was going to ask about adding a few things. They're listed. Whoops, they're not. Yeah, they should be green now. Restarting dog waste pickup at Thompson's Point. Discussion of whether we should be issuing zoning permits and violations. Discussion of Mount Philo State Park. Discussion of Charlotte Park and Wildlife Refuge, and delay of staff performance reviews.
Where are those?
They're not on there. So they're not on. They weren't on the warrant agenda. They would be potential additions to the agenda.
Okay. Okay. I got you with the bullets.
Yeah.
In the select board report.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, I guess, is everyone comfortable putting those at the end of the meeting?
I'm fine if you're fine, Matt.
Okay, we'll just tack those on at the end of the meeting. And let's see. I've been having people contact me and ask me if the select board is going to be considering any reductions in this year's budget to try and not do any non-essential work. And I thought it would be good to have the discussion tonight, just to see, maybe get a straw poll of what people are thinking with that. The idea would be to, from now until July, only authorize what we consider to be essential work, and maybe have a nest egg that could be used to buffer any potential shortfalls come tax season in November. If people are having trouble paying their taxes, and in anticipation of a lot of people not having the income they did when this budget was approved for this year. So if people are okay, I'd like to tack that one on to the end of the meeting also.
Yep.
And also wanted to touch base and talk about what public facilities we want to keep open or possibly close or regulate in some way. A lot of other towns have been doing this. Burlington has kind of gone into austere measures, and so has the state, as far as closing, and the national parks are also closed right now. So I think it's just important for us to touch base and talk about it and see what people want to do when it comes to the town-owned lands. So if we could touch base on that. I think these would all be early discussions, and then we have time to really talk about them at the next meeting. Right. But it's just be a good opportunity tonight to get a straw poll from people to see if it's something you want to pursue or not as a board. Okay, that's all I had. Anyone else have things come up you want to discuss tonight? Okay. 6:41, public comment. Okay, that was quick. 6:45. We're meeting to validate Article 6 from March 3, 2020 town meeting. This was, Dean, you wanna?
Sure. So Article 6 was inadvertently left out of the warning that was published in the town report. It was included in warnings that were posted around town. But anyway, the recommendation from the town attorney was to proceed with acting on Article 6 at town meeting, which we did, and it was approved. And now this is a hearing to validate that. So it is actually a town meeting. And so it's a, moderated by the town moderator, and the vote is everyone present. And just so, well, actually, I brought my town report, but Article 6 isn't in it. Charles, do you have it by any chance?
I have the, no, I have the article that you printed out. I can go grab it. Not very easily, no. Well, do you need it for the purposes of this? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Just thought you might want to read it. You want me to read it?
Well, I can pull it up from the town website, I suppose, but it's gonna take me a minute.
So it's, will the town vote to authorize the select board to borrow money by issuance of bonds or notes not in excess of anticipated revenues for the next fiscal year?
Yeah, so when you're ready, I'll start the town meeting. So you're still in the select board meeting right now, so
I'll let Matt give that.
you want to adjourn the select board meeting and reconvene?
Matt, you can unmute yourself. Or
Thank you. I'm gonna make a motion to suspend as a select board meeting and to reconvene as a special town meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I think the moderator has the floor.
Did you want to vote on that?
Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now you got the floor.
Okay, so the legal voters of the town of Charlotte are hereby notified and warned to meet at the Charlotte Town Hall or on my front porch, 159 Ferry Road in said town on Monday, April 6, 2020 at 6:45 in the afternoon to act upon the following article in accordance with Title 17, Section 2662, Vermont statutes annotated. Shall the action taken at the meeting of, well, so, all right, so before we start, I want to identify the any non-voters at this meeting right now. And if there's no objection, we allow the people here to vote, but let's hear who is a non-voter that may want to speak. So Dean is the only one I know of. I think there's maybe a reporter that may or may not be a town resident, or,
He's not, but he probably is not going to speak.
okay. All right, and is that it? And as at all town meetings, identify yourself when you speak. My name is Charles Russell. Okay, shall the town, so the first action here is to, or the only action that we hope is, shall the action taken at the meeting of this town held on March 3rd, 2020, in spite of the fact that the posted warning did not include Article 6, and any act or action of the municipal officers or agents pursuant thereto be readopted, ratified, and confirmed. Do I hear a motion to approve to move this article?
I'll motion that.
Was your name?
Gary Spear.
Is there a second?
Second,
Who's that?
Jim Faulkner.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing no desire for discussion, are we ready for a vote? So the vote shall be, shall the action taken at the meeting of the town held on March 3rd, 2020, in spite of the fact that the posted warning did not include Article 6, and any act or action of the municipal officers or agents pursuant thereto be readopted, ratified, and confirmed. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The motion carries. Do I hear a motion?
Gavel.
Excuse me? I hear a motion to adjourn.
No, I said, where's your gavel, Charlie?
Oh, all right.
There you go.
Very good. Here, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Carrie,
Gary Spear made the motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Not sure whether it requires a second, but somebody second just in case. How's that?
Second.
All right, that's Louise. All right. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
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 Actually, how do I tell? All those opposed say nay. Ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The meeting is adjourned.
okay, great.
Nice job.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does it just de facto go back to a select board meeting?
That's a good question. Seems like it.
Okay.
Could call the meeting back to order.
Make a motion to reconvene it as a select board meeting.
Second,
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's see. Selection of contractor for removal of the ash trees. Dean has put together a comparison of bids to remove the potential hazard ash trees. Does everyone have that in front of them? Or Dean, you're going to put that up?
Yeah.
So I think one of the things I learned from last year that we talked about is let's start by having a discussion about the price comparisons before we move forward with a motion. That's something we kind of committed to in the reflection of the process last year.
Should I take this down or?
That's fine. I think it's fine up there.
Okay.
I'm using a separate screen just so I can have a bigger screen of everyone who's participating.
Right.
Do people have thoughts, select board members?
Well, I mean, I think, this is Louise. The three lowest bids, I mean, they're all pretty close. So, I mean, so the question then becomes, what are our other criteria? There's certainly days to complete and our experience with folks. Well, I said that and then you didn't hear me because I'm too incompetent. I didn't unmute.
No, we heard that.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe this mute thing doesn't really work.
Okay.
I try and always pretend like the mute is not working. So I agree. It seems like the lowest three bidders are in the similar ballpark. And the other metrics that I'm looking at is experience with the town and contracting and the days to complete. How are other people thinking?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Matt. I was looking at the lowest bids and then the days to complete.
Matt, I'm sorry, are you open just to the select board or are you open to the audience?
Well, I was gonna hear first from select board
Okay.
and Yeah, and then actually ask the tree warden for a recommendation like we did last year, and then open it up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thanks, Adam. Any other select board comments? Okay, Mark, you have a recommendation as the tree warden?
Yeah, so we have, there are 3 low bids, and any one of these 3 people would be able to get the trees down well, I think. The issue, as Louise pointed out, and also Frank, is that it is time. So there's price and time. For this particular project, the time to complete is particularly important because we want to get the work done before traffic resumes, and we want to minimize the blockage of traffic on these 2 heavily used roads. So my recommendation was to go with either Teachers or with Greg Smith because Chris Fortin would, in my opinion, take too long to get the work done. Also, has everybody read the recommendation that I put together? There are references and some summary of my opinion. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So anyway, I've got this. Let's see, it's on the screen. Great. So anyway, the work that Chris did last year was, on one hand, good. He got the trees down. Did a good job with that. It took a very long time. The work was supposed to, according to his original proposal, take 10 days and be done before the end of June. As it turned out, the work wasn't done until sometime in October, and there were a couple extensions. It was disappointing. So anyway, because of the track record of Chris, I thought that it was not advisable to choose him, even though he's the lower bidder. The other 2 came in with stellar references. They've got crews. Teachers has a larger crew people, which is helpful. They'll do the work more quickly. So anyway, I thought I'd just turn it back to the select board with that recommendation. I think with either Teachers or Greg Smith, we'd, those would be good bets.
Okay.
This is Louise. I just have to say that Teachers just did some work for us here, so I want to make sure that that's on the record.
You feel you're capable of making an impartial decision?
Yes, I am, but I just wanted to say they did a great job for us, but I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that they had just been down here doing some work for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a small town. It's hard if we recuse if everybody recuses themselves who who's worked with contractors. That's, I don't know, that's a onerous limitation, I think.
There you go.
I think it's good to disclose.
Especially at the intersection of also looking to support local contractors.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we have 3 or 4 local contractors bidding.
There are, I think we got 5, but there are 3 low bids. So these other 2 would be also quite good. I mean, DJs thinks they can get it done in 3 days, which would be great. But I think that, the price difference is significant enough so that, I think we should, we've got two other, highly competent tree service professionals who, can do this in a reasonable amount of time.
Adam?
I would just like to, I'm going to reiterate that from last year's experience of using Chris, and he just took a very long time to get the job done. And I think it's imperative that work is done accordingly. The other piece is that you have a criteria, I believe, that you follow for selecting a vendor. And so when's the last time Gregory Smith worked for the town of Charlotte? And did he do his work on time? I mean, I know Teachers is going to do what they say. He's done the work everywhere very well for the town.
Yeah, I don't know about if Greg's done contracts for the town, but he does work in the town. I know him from interacting with him on work that he's done for leaseholders on Thompson's Point. And according to his references, he's been timely. Although he has a smaller crew, and he'll take twice the amount of time that Teachers.
I just think that with where you are with Ferry Road, you want something that's done within a very specific set schedule to not impede as it was impeded last year.
I certainly agree with that.
Well, I'll make a motion that the town of Charlotte selects Teachers Tree Service to remove the potential hazard ash trees as described in the bid for a price not to exceed $19,500 and to be completed within a 5 to 6 day time frame.
I'll second that.
So on discussion, can I pipe in?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah. So I was thinking that it would be good to go with Chris. And the reason I say that, for what I know, first place, I want to be clear, I have no idea who he is. I've never met him. I'm new here. But the work was done well. And I don't know, we don't know where we're going to be in a couple weeks or a month in terms of the traffic and so forth. And I certainly like the price. And at 18,000, that's quite a bit less. And I think we're going into a very difficult time. And I really think that we probably should we know Chris's work is good. Maybe it takes them longer. I guess that's the case. But still, we're going to have to look for all the pennies we can pretty soon here. So my 2 cents is that I think that we should go with Chris. That's it.
Can I go again?
Yes, please, Adam.
As speaking from a vendor, there's a contract, and a contract is specific to a set period of time that we're permitted to do the work. And so you're setting precedent from previous experience with this vendor that he can take any time he wants. Does that mean that every vendor that you hire can take all the time he wants to do the job? And so I think the precedent should stick to what the agreement is and hold the vendor accountable.
So was that RFP, is that specific on the number of days?
Yes.
And
last year.
Last year, I'm talking about this year. And I think on his proposal this year, he says doesn't it, back to that spreadsheet, Dean, doesn't he say by the end of whatever project time was?
It does, but I believe the RFP talked about giving a certain number of days it would take you to do the job, not an end date.
So Chris failed to indicate the number of days it would take to complete the work. He only said that he'd complete it by the end of June. And, I don't know how much confidence we can have in that claim, because last year he went 5 months over the due date for the project. The other factor here is that the Lake Road project, we set it up as kind of a trial project because it's less complicated. There was less traffic. There were less obstacles to avoid. So we set it up as a project that would be something that somebody like a small operator could bid for. This project is more complicated. It requires certified flaggers to be there when the work is done. And it has to be done quickly. I think that's really imperative. I don't think we can afford to have somebody picking around this thing for unspecified amount of time, because it's specified, but we don't have that much confidence that it can actually be done in specified time based on the track record.
Hey, Dean, am I being heard?
Junior, it sounds like wants to speak, and maybe you speak up just a little bit louder, Junior.
Okay, I don't have a, we don't
good,
have a
too.
camera. We don't have a camera here, but anyway, it's Junior. And I was just thinking that I think we should go with the lowest, but if we don't go with the lowest, why did we jump right over Greg Smith? I have had Greg take down trees for me, and I think in the times that we're having now, that we shouldn't go with the highest. We were talking about the 3 lowest, and we jumped right from the start, right to the highest. I'm just putting mine in for Greg Smith if you guys are against having Chris do it. Just because it takes longer, I don't know if you guys know this, but when we do our paving, I usually have DNF, and it always takes them longer, but they do an excellent job. So I don't want, just because you're thinking it's taking somebody longer, that might hurt me in the future.
I'm just going to pipe back in again. This Jim Faulkner. Listen, we really do got to pay attention to the money here. We're going to go through some hard times coming up, and I just think that, if it takes it longer, so be it. But I mean, the money is a difference, and it's not a lot of difference, but it may be a lot of difference to some people. So I just think that we should think about the money part of it a little bit more. That's all.
Assuming I get myself off mute, it's Louise. Jim, I agree with you, but what I would do is really get the advice from the experts, which is the tree warden. And because it's not simple math, it's calculus. And so I would go with
You got muted.
So Matt,
Okay. Oh,
no, it's people have been trying to mute me for years. So I guess somebody's been, anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'd go with what the tree warden thinks is the right thing.
So Matt, can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to, I don't see myself on the screen anymore, which is just fine, but I didn't know if I was muted as well. So I'm just going to let you guys do as you see fit, because I don't want to cause any more than I did last year with my voice being weak last year. So that's why I'm staying muted. Thank you. Matt?
Your video's back.
Okay, good. I guess I just have one thing to say, and but I'm not going to. I just really would like to let you folks do as you please.
Well, for me, given the difficulty that Chris's Lawn Care and Mini Excavating had staying within the parameters of the bid last year, I'm looking to award the bid to a different contractor for the second year and see if it goes any differently. And I'm not ruling out Chris's Lawn Care and Mini Excavating personally for the subsequent bids, but I think given the difficulty in completing the project in the time that it was bid, I'd like to go with a different contractor with other recommendations. Also, between Gregory Smith and Teachers Tree Service is a $200 difference and a 4 to 5 day difference. Now, the quality I am going to assume is going to be the same, which is the quality necessary to meet the tree warden standards. So given that, I think that that $200 difference is worth going on a shorter time frame, personally. Are people ready for a vote? So there's a motion to award the bid to remove the potential hazard ash trees for a price not to exceed $19,500 and to take between 5 and 6 days.
Starting when, Matt? When is that going to start?
Mark?
The start time's not specified. Maybe Greg's here. Greg, when would you start?
Okay, got it. As soon as another criteria that I think here's the traffic control. So state certified traffic control is specified in the bid. And so I want to make sure I do have 3 certified traffic control people that work for me. So I could start as early as Monday. I think that ferry is closed right now. So I'd like to get it done quick while that's closed, because there's less traffic. And I can use my own men for traffic control, but I was going to hire Green Mountain Flagging. So I was going to try to arrange that as quickly as I can if I got the bid, and then start, I guess Monday I could start.
The reason we had originally scheduled this vote for next week, but the reason that I requested it to be moved up was so that whoever is awarded the contract could take advantage of the fact that the ferry is closed down. So it'd be nice to have this work done before the ferry starts up again, because it could otherwise disrupt ferry traffic.
You know when the ferry's going to start up again?
I don't think we know.
Oh, just indefinitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably not until the 30th. Maybe.
No, the ferry's closed because of the lack of traffic. So, everybody can weigh in any way they want on that one. But that's what's going on.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All
I'm
those,
just going to abstain.
okay. All those opposed?
Uh,
By
Jim
saying
Fall.
nay? Yep.
Yeah.
And Carrie, you abstain?
I'd like to, yes.
Okay, so 3-1-1. The motion passes. Looking forward to you doing the work, and good luck and stay safe out there.
Well, there we go. All right. Thank you. We'll get her done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Congratulations, Greg. I think it's a good choice.
Um, 7:15 item. Town Hall staff update on work location and status.
Want that from me?
Yes, sure.
So right now, myself, Mary, and Christina are the only employees who are in the town hall on a day-to-day basis. Planning and zoning staff are working from home, listers working from home, recreation's working from home. The library closed. I believe they're closed. They were closed until April 6th. I haven't heard an update recently, but my understanding is they are probably also going to be closed until the end of the month. Senior center staff is primarily working from home, although every now and then the director does come in. They are doing some classes via Zoom, and some of that is happening by recording somebody at the town hall, or at the senior center rather, or sometimes it's from the instructor's location.
So Dean, did you ask, pardon me, did you ask Daryl and Daniel to work from home, or is that their choice or between you? How come? I thought you were gonna do a little rotating.
Yeah, it was a combined discussion. At first, we did talk about rotating as the first step, but then after the stay home, stay safe order came out, was pretty clear about non-essential employees not working, or working from home. I suggested that they stay home, and they agreed.
And how is it going for them working from home?
I mean, I think for anybody, it's an adjustment, and it's probably not as efficient as it would be working from the office, for sure. That said, there's also less work to do since the public is not coming into the town office, and the boards aren't meeting at this point. So it's not, certainly not as busy as it was when we were open to, full business.
And it just seems like they would need some time at the office to know, yes or no, like to do some of their filing, or I don't know.
Yeah, they are allowed to come in, and yeah, they have come in on occasion. Daniel came in last week during the day, and then Daryl came in on the weekend to do some paperwork. He did email the planning commission, and he has had a phone conversation with Peter Joslin about just issuing a decision that the planning commission is working on.
Okay.
It's Louise. This is slightly different topic, but we need to figure out how to get all of our key commissions up and running, planning, zoning, whatever. And that's really important because we can't indefinitely defer, from my perspective, really important decisions. So Matt, are we going to come back to that?
Yeah, we can put that on April 13th agenda.
There is an item on tonight's agenda at 7:30, which might kind of cover some of that.
Thanks.
That's with House Bill 681.
Okay.
Actually, I'm not sure what House bill is, but there There isn't an item on the agenda as far as committees using Zoom.
Yeah, I'll pull up the statute. I think it was just signed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh,
I might. I think I gave you screen sharing rights.
oh, who, me?
Yeah. It's on the toolbar at the bottom, at least. It looks like Julianne has a comment or question.
Yeah, sorry. There's no chat, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay. So my question is, what was the House bill again? Just the number?
House Bill 681. I'm pulling it up. Yeah, an act relating to government operations in response to the COVID-19 outbreak.
Okay.
It was signed by the governor on March 30th, 2020.
Thank you.
But I'm trying to pull up the actual text. It's going to take me a little longer.
I think what one of the things that did was to eliminate or temporarily eliminate the requirement for having a physical location for committees and boards that the public can attend. So, you know, that was a problem as far as meeting entirely remotely. And so that requirement was temporarily eliminated.
I've gotten inquiries just about the ability, particularly of planning and zoning, to keep going. So whatever we can do there, I think is important.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was anticipating that being on tonight's agenda at 7:30 as far as being able to discuss that. Peter has a question or comment.
Yes, Peter?
Peter, wait, you need to unmute yourself. All right, let me unmute you. Okay, you want to just say your name and, whoops. Can you unmute yourself on the lower left of your?
Oh, yes.
There
There,
you go.
can you hear me? Hi. Regarding I think what you were initially talking about, which was Daryl and Daniel, I know that, you know, discussions that I've had with you and with Daryl right now does not have access to the internet or email for that matter. So somehow we need to get that squared away. I know he had sent me an email, or when I spoke to, or he sent me an email, I think it was Saturday, saying that it sounded like he was working on maybe getting a different PC that would enable him email, but that's an issue in terms of getting us back online, you know, to the point, if we were in the end to use Zoom, he definitely needs to have access.
Yeah, I did tell him there is some money in the planning and zoning budget for equipment. So if he needed to buy something to do that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we do have some money in there.
Okay.
Do we still have the town laptop?
Oh,
That's what I'm currently using, but yes, we do still have it.
Okay, just a question.
Yep.
I
Not
think
to say-
there's
not to say-
actually a couple. There's a couple of them, aren't there?
There's one that's generally shared, and we could share this with Daryl. The town clerk has one for voting that is, I think, just to be used by the town clerk. And then recreation, I believe, has one that is, or it might be a tablet that's, I believe, just used just for recreation.
But we might have two at the library.
They do have some,
Well, whatever, it sounds like we could help Daryl out with the email.
yeah,
or
right. He also needs the service, which I'm not sure
Oh, okay.
that.
Well, then he'll need to work from the office.
I'm sorry.
Then he'll need to work from the office a day or two of the week or something.
Yeah.
You'll have to,
Yeah, I think if, especially if we're if we can get to the point where we're gonna have meetings, it sounds like he'll need to be at the office. Oh,
yes, I would agree that I just can't imagine him being away from the office all of the time. It seems like there should be some office time for both Daniel and Daryl. There's got to be a few things. Doesn't have to be a whole day of it, but to keep it sort of normal where, most of the time they'll keep themselves safe and not in the office, but there is a reasonable way of getting around that and being able to do some work.
Yeah, so speaking to Daryl right now, he's like coming in at night to get files, say, to work on, like Dean had mentioned earlier, he's working on the Hutchins decision, but in order to do that, he's got to basically download it to his whatever machine he's using, go home, work on it, and then come back and email it to everyone.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to put on tomorrow's, how do we get Daryl in as comfortable of a spot as we all are?
So, sorry, go ahead, Louise.
Okay, just, I think everybody's doing the best they can, and I really appreciate Daryl and Daniel's hard work. My issue is, and this may not be, I don't know, can we just put their office phones on call forwarding to their choice, and only for maybe a 6-hour period or something, so that people don't get they don't get a voicemail. Just an idea, trying to figure out how to provide the best customer service here.
Wait, I thought we were doing that after the last meeting.
Well, let me ask Dean, because Dean, when I talked to you, what I thought you said, and I could be 100% wrong, that people were leaving voicemails, and then people would call back. I was just trying to figure out how to make this even any better.
Yeah.
So there. Yeah, so, today, and that, is very simple. And so that's how we left it, was they were going to check their voicemail. I have to say, I've been here during the day and I haven't heard the phone ringing a whole lot. May ring a couple times a day, but I do text with them, and I've been texting particularly with Daniel as far as things that are on his plate. And it doesn't sound like anything is slipping through the cracks or being left unattended. I can do call forwarding. That's the downsides of that are A, it's an additional cost, and B, it does go to their personal phone, which I can ask them if they're okay with that, but that's a different setup. I don't think you can just say for 6 hours. I think that's a permanent thing that until we switch it off, they will get calls on their personal phone that are work related. So, I have to say, I think having them being able to get their messages seems to be address the issue, but I can, if the select board feels strongly otherwise, I can have call forwarding.
Well, I don't feel strong. Listen, I don't feel strongly about this issue. What matters is, are we doing the best we can to meet our customers' needs? That's all. And if it looks like responding to messages is fine, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. It's important to be responsive, and it's important to have good customer service always, and even during this situation. And that's what I believe Daniel and Daryl understand as well, and they are trying to respond to people as the situations warrant. I think getting the decision out for the planning commission is important. I've discussed that with Daryl, and Peter's discussed that with Daryl, and they're working on it, and that's probably going to be issued this week. And Daniel has been in touch with people that have either called him or emailed him or left messages.
Dean, I want to go back to the technical difficulties that Daryl's having,
Sure.
able to work remotely.
Yeah.
I know my uncle, not one of my uncles who live in Vermont, but another uncle. Did a lot of research when he went to visit my grandma about how to set her up with internet service in the least expensive way. I'm hoping this week before our next meeting, you could look into calling Verizon and AT&T.
Okay.
Getting some pricing on a mobile hotspot.
Okay.
We can load those up with a certain amount of megabytes of use, and that connects to the cellular network. So we'd want to see which of those two main services Daryl has the best reception with from his home for bandwidth, and then he could connect any device to those.
He probably has a certain carrier right now, either Verizon or AT&T. Presumably we would want to go with that carrier.
Yeah, and it would be whatever gets the best service to him, and it's a device about this big, and it's not expensive, and you kind of pay as you go. So if you run out of megabits of information downloaded and uploaded, you just add in another $20 and see how far that gets you. But we could activate that pretty much immediately and have him go home with that.
Okay.
And spare the risk of coming into the office, and respect the stay at home, stay safe policy.
Right. Okay.
And what about Daniel? Is he, being the young buck he is, he all got it all connected?
He's pretty well connected.
I had a Zoom session with him this morning. He's quite connected, yes.
Okay, good.
I think he qualifies as a connectedness native.
Well, listen, his birthday is April 17th, and I am making him a carrot cake.
Oh,
because he loves carrot cakes.
And it's a surprise.
Yes,
Oh,
of course.
okay.
We just discussed it on, the town,
Are you
And either we could put it in the town hall, or Dean has volunteered to take it to his house.
You have to give him some dog biscuits for Tucker as well.
No, Tucker's his ex's. No.
Oh.
Tucker went with the girlfriend.
Okay.
Sorry.
I didn't specifically ask him about that today.
Are you going to make the cake on the 14th so that it's guaranteed out of quarantine by the 17th?
Sure. Whatever.
I think that's cardboard.
Actually, it's a cake that does better after several days. So, but anyway, we'll get that going, and
Oh, she's muted again.
Just quick.
You got muted.
Louise.
Oh, Craig, I muted myself. I'm
Yeah.
off.
You're back.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so I'll investigate the hotspots.
Yeah, that would be great. If people are okay, you know, from like a discretionary spending and it got Daryl up and running this week, if it was somewhere $50 or $75, would people be okay with that?
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would-
come on, we gotta take care of our folks.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
I think we got to keep him connected.
Good idea.
I haven't, I've been pretty busy the last couple of weeks myself, so I haven't been able to ask the question on how Daryl and Daniel are making out. So I'm glad we had this discussion.
Okay, should we move on to the 7:30 item?
7:20.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Paying employees during the coronavirus situation. So at the last meeting that we discussed this, we had committed to maintaining the regular hours and visiting this at some future date, which is tonight.
Are there any reasons that we shouldn't continue it?
I spoke with Mary today. There's a couple of part-time, like very part-time staff at the library that they're just not calling in to work. And but everyone else that is, you know, full-time, they are employing and they are doing, you know, work for the library. I think I remember Louise's statement really stuck with me at the last time we discussed this, of having the expectation that people are doing as much work as they can for the town, and if there's a gap in the amount of hours that they get paid for, to use that for professional development. And I just thought that was a great use of the forced time at home that we have. So I'd support continuing to pay for people's approved hours with those expectations.
Yeah, and me too. And the Vermont League of Cities and Towns has all kinds of stuff.
Other thoughts?
Nope, I'm good with that, Matt.
Okay, I guess after a little discussion here, I'll make a motion to continue to pay town employees for their approved hours with the expectation that any shortfall in workload is made up for through professional development efforts.
I'll second that.
Is there any more discussion about this?
Well, Matt, how about if there's no overtime? If you're scheduled for 35, you work 35.
Yeah, that'll be a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Is that seconded, the friendly amendment?
Yeah, that's seconded.
Okay, that seems reasonable.
Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and I'm just, because I can't hear everyone in unison, I'll say it as a question mark. That's 5 for and 0 against. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Matt, you're muted. You're muted, Matt.
Sorry about that. Let me get out of full screen. I got a synopsis loaded up here. I don't know how I would get that. Share screen.
Yeah. Go,
Are you seeing anything yet?
not yet.
Okay, how about now?
No.
Okay, wait, here it comes. Share.
Yes.
There we are.
Zoom in maybe just a little bit.
Wow, Matt. You just made my screen just do things I never thought it could do. I don't know how many tabs are open of it, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of tabs. Hopefully it's the one that's open. Does it say, hi all, the legislature passed H681?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't seem to get it bigger. I'm doing the commands with the keyboard.
Okay.
But the temporary open meeting law changes, it's kind of a summary. This is from the CVSD description of it. So the designated meeting location is no longer required. So we can do this all remotely. One of us doesn't have to be at town hall. And we don't have to designate a physical meeting location.
Just a time.
Yep, and even Dean, you can do this from home. Number 3, the public body members and staff are not required to be physically present.
Right.
The public access to the electronic meetings. We must use technology that permits the attendance, so we're doing that. Whenever feasible, the public body must allow the public access to the meeting by telephone. We're doing that with Zoom. And public bodies must post information on how public may access meetings. Dean did that, really well with posting the agenda the way he did. So we're required to record the meetings. We're doing that. And there's an extension for posting of the minutes.
Nice.
Are we back?
We're
Yes.
back.
Okay, I'll try that next time with only one folder open.
Was I supposed to see pictures?
I hope not.
I didn't. I did not.
So yeah, anything else on that? The
No.
recreation did a trial run.
Yeah, I think Bill is, I don't know, Bill, if you want to unmute.
Hi there.
Hey,
We did not do a trial run. We did a trial run with Dean, or I did a trial run with Dean. We have not done an actual meeting trial run yet. We were waiting to see how the select board was going to direct us as to whether we could actually do that or not. So we are waiting on your decision to allow us to go forward.
And I believe the Energy Committee is in the same holding status.
Yes, we're very eager to be able to meet whenever that's possible.
great. Well,
As is the planning commission.
I think with the passage of 681, if people familiarize themselves with it to make sure that they're in compliance, I personally think it's a great idea to get every committee up and running with Zoom. Yeah, Peter?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I mean, I agree that we should try to do everything we can. I would say the one thing that concerns me about the planning commission is, since we're holding hearings, I think it's really important that somehow we would have to know that everybody who wants to participate is able to. I'm thinking of, in some instances, if it's a very straightforward subdivision, it's probably not that big of a deal. But if I think about things like the land use regs or the petition that's in front of us, I think it's really incumbent upon us to make sure that those that want to participate can. And I frankly, I'm not sure how we do that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm just thinking of somebody like Daryl. There could be somebody else in town that either doesn't have access or doesn't have a PC or doesn't know how to.
Yeah, and the library is not open.
Right.
I wonder, here's just a random idea. When we put it out, and maybe put it out on Front Porch Forum and on the Charlotte News, maybe either Daryl can, basically take phone calls from people and make a list of people who want to participate.
Mm-hmm.
And then we figure out a way to get them to participate. I mean, the great thing about Charlotte is the vast majority of Charlotte is served by Waitsfield-Fayston. So everyone has good connectivity. They just may or may not have a PC device.
Right.
I think just fleshing it out here, it would make sense for every committee or commission to post the full agenda on Front Porch Forum,
Mm-hmm.
so that becomes well advertised. I'm not sure if this does happen sometimes or how it happens, but I thought, like with planning and zoning, when individual things come in, adjoining neighbors are notified. Is that sometimes, all the time?
That's true. They are notified.
So, that would be kind of that immediate circle taken care of just with the existing protocol. But for the big ones, can Zoom handle 50 people?
That's a good question. Not only for that, Matt, but for if it's a continuation, like once a hearing is started, they're not re-notified. So we would have to rely on, the postings on Front Porch Forum, and I suppose the brick store and Kerry's store and the town office.
Well, basically, at a continuation, it's said at that meeting when the time and date when it's going to happen, where the continuation is going to happen. So there's no real need to. You don't usually post out the continuation. It's a continuation set a certain date and time at that last meeting.
That's exactly right. But you know how sometimes people will, forget.
This is true.
Also, if this stay home, stay safe policy lasts 2 weeks, this might not be an issue. If it lasts through June, maybe we have committees and commissions send their agendas as soon as they have them set to the Citizen and Charlotte News, and with a note saying, if this can be published in time for before the scheduled date of this meeting, would you please publish this?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, please disregard. What do people think about that?
I think that's a good idea. Actually, the Charlotte News used to, I can't recall if it was in this, well, we haven't had an agenda, but they used to post the planning commission agendas. I think sometimes it is a question of timing.
Right.
Based on when the paper comes out. Yeah.
Yep. But the committees and commissions could do everything they can to get it out there, and if it works timing wise, that would be great.
I like Louise's idea. I think that's worth a try. Maybe we hold off on the petition for the land use regs at first, but try a meeting and put it out there on Front Porch Forum and include it somehow on the agenda, that those that want to participate to please email, so we know they're out there, and see how it goes.
I think it's great to have everybody, if they have questions about something on the agenda, just like tonight, where they can send those to Daryl or to Daniel and have them so that they can be discussed at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great idea.
I think whoever organizes this, you know, is gonna be pretty key to who's organizing the new way of doing it all. I don't know if that's somebody like Daniel, with him being the young whippersnapper that he is, to get it all organized and so that
Well,
it's
here's a wild idea. We could put, I mean, I'm just throwing crap out here. We could put something at the Old Brick and at Spears and at the town hall saying, here's where the meetings are. And if you want to be notified, sign up. I mean, that wouldn't replace anything electronic, but I'm just trying to figure out how we can get everyone who wants to participate.
Mhm.
Bad idea.
well, I think Front Porch Forum is definitely because it's an everyday thing. Things can, and then with it organized properly, can find the right amount of time for the hearing or whatever the process is, 3-day notice, whatever, 10-day notice, whatever we need.
Yeah, I think moving forward, if we try it, I would say we can't communicate it too much, just because I'm sure we don't always see Front Porch Forum every day, you know, so people could miss it. So I think we'd have to be pretty religious about posting it over a period of days, a couple days before, a week before. Make sure.
Well, we could always use the US mail, do a simple mailing if it's not important, and this goes that long.
I have a couple of questions. One is technical. Are we, as a committee, setting up our own Zoom sessions? I have an account.
Who's speaking?
This is Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi. Or are we requesting you, Dean, to set up the Zoom meeting on our behalf and give us the link?
So there are some options. One is to have the town, actually the library, through the library, has an account. Basically, the accounts are free, but the minutes, I mean, the meetings are limited to 40 minutes. So if you're okay with either limiting your meeting to 40 minutes, or if the meeting stops, you can restart it. You're still allowed to have that free account. So you could try that. And if that turns out to be really clunky, the town does have an account that allows you to go over 40 minutes, and you would use that. It's, you know, you would have to get the email and password. It's through the library right now because they have a credit card, and so that's how it's being paid. So I would say maybe start if that goes for, you know, see if that works for your needs. And if it doesn't, let me know.
Okay, so I would be in touch with Margaret?
No, you can sign up for your own account.
Oh, I do have my own account.
Yeah.
My own personal account, which is 40 minutes, as you say. But if we wanted to go the library route,
then let me know.
okay.
Yep.
The other question
And
was,
I mean, I've heard and I've experienced they don't always cut you off at 40 minutes. So especially during this time, it seems like several times they've allowed it to go, you know, much longer than that.
and I didn't see, Matt, on that description on the law that passed, how much time we need to warn the meeting. Was that in there? Like, so are you agreeing as the select board how much time we should give, whether it's a week or?
I don't think what is the answer to that?
I don't know. Currently, what is the statute, Dean?
It's basically a regular meeting should be warned 48 hours ahead of time. Certainly if you're going to put it in the paper, it should be longer than that. It needs to be longer than that to reach the paper. It seems like the Energy Committee has been the model for posting their agendas on the town website for almost a year in advance. So, I'm not sure if you actually have your agendas, you sort of earmarked in your meetings, but, it seems like if you could aim for a week ahead of time, that would be pretty good. Pretty good to let people know ahead of time.
I just think that if we're doing this through Front Porch Forum, as somebody was saying, it might take several tries, and you never know where you're going to be ranked. You might fall at the bottom and nobody sees you. So to do it, I think my personal view is I would want to start a week ahead at least, and then have one or possibly two more.
Sounds like a good plan.
And then my final, sort of in relation to that, somebody was talking about posting paper agendas, which is what we usually do. But I thought that the Front Porch Forum would substitute that, because we're not trying to get people to encourage people to go. The brick store is closed, for example. I know Carrie's is open, but it seems to me that we should not be encouraging people to go and post those agendas in person.
I totally disagree. I think that we have to have one at the store, Dean. People are very used to seeing the agenda there.
So may I email it to you and then you can post it there?
Absolutely. Okay. Anybody can.
Okay, in the other locations, the select board did move the brick store location to the post office. And then the town hall is the third location, which is locked. We potentially could tape it on the front door. Yeah, you could email me for that. As far as the post office goes, I don't know if there's an alternative to that. If the select board does feel that posting there is important at this time.
Well, we should keep with whatever the rules are.
And the old brick is open sometimes. So wouldn't hurt to just ask them if we can just put it on their door as well as the post office. I mean, come on, you can still get a beer there if you really need one.
I thought just their takeout window was open, but
but they have a whole list of groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
And if they have a liquor store, so if you need a bottle of whatever you drink there, you can get it there. just saying, not that I've tried it.
Well, I'll have to confess, Louise, and say we did try it a week and a half ago. It worked quite well.
So let me just recap what we have for guidance, and I think it'd be good if Dean could draft up a note, all the chairs, and then maybe you could run it by me, and then we could send that out if people are okay with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So posting the whole agenda at least 1 week before to Front Porch Forum, the Citizen, the Charlotte News, and the 2 physical sites if possible. Contacting neighbors if applicable. Have all the chairs read H681 to make sure that they're in compliance with the new rules. Am I missing anything?
Not that you've discussed this, but there are a few items as far as planning and zoning hearings go that, for example, there are usually site visits involved and how you would want those conducted. And I guess generally whether, holding hearings themselves doesn't require planning and zoning staff to be here in the office, but generally there is more, involvement in terms of at some point, they're going to need to be here more frequently. So I just wanted to check if that is the intent, or if there's, ideas about working around that.
Well, I think we worry about that after April 30th. More, I think we need to be as normal as we can. As normal as we can, but April 30th will allow us to, we'll be able to make another plan going forward. We'll know a little bit more. Did we open up the country? Did we not? Do we have to do something really drastic or not? I'd say we just keep it simple for now and kind of as close to how we do it anyways as possible. That's my opinion.
So the planning commission's the next scheduled meeting would be next Thursday, the 16th of April. And then after that, it would be May 7th. So I think as far as the planning commission is concerned, the key right now is getting Daryl squared away.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the zoning board has canceled everything. So basically anything we do has to be warned again. And that's usually at least a 3-week warning period, which would give anybody enough time to work out any kinks that we have in our meetings and what we have for information and how to distribute it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that would be important in this next 2-month cycle here of trying this is to make sure that the chair of each committee emails the agenda to the select board liaison. I think it's, probably extra important that we make every effort to join in on these virtual meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we'll be able to a little easier.
Okay.
I guess I would wonder if a motion would be appropriate, because I think there was a suspension issued, with a motion and a vote.
Well, I think are we sure how we're organized? Are you leaving it up to every chair to where are they going to put the information? Are they going to be the ones to put it on the website or what?
Yep. So what we talked about is they have to post the actual agenda on Front Porch Forum. They need to send it to the Citizen and the Charlotte News with a note asking them to publish this agenda if it will be published in time for the meeting. And then
I think they're going to need some support person, Matt. They'll need a support person, either it's Dean or Daryl or.
If they can't do this, they can't have the meetings. I think it's up to the committees. Everyone has to do some heavy lifting here. And if committees and commissions want to meet, then this is what they need to do it virtually.
I see. Okay.
I think that's a fair expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get in touch with their select board liaison, then the select board liaison can hopefully inform them of what needs to be done, or have them tell them what they are doing to make sure they're doing it properly.
Yeah. And then also, if people are okay with it, we'll have Dean draft up, a letter after this motion passes, kind of explaining how to do this, explaining that they can do the free Zoom for 40 minutes if they want with their own free account, or contact him if they need guidance on how to use the town's Zoom account. They need to read H681 to make sure they're in compliance with the new open meeting exceptions, contacting neighbors if applicable, and sending an agenda by email to the select board liaison. And see how it goes.
What's the expense of using the town Zoom one? Is there, Dean?
It's not an added expense. No, it's just a matter of, more people having, access to it as far as coordinating meetings and whatnot. But it's, if people have their own account, they're more apt to remember the password and their email address, which is what it's based on, an email address.
Dean, I think the planning commission will definitely need the library account.
Yeah.
You have 40 minutes per item, right?
Yeah. I can't remember a meeting that went 40 minutes. That's for sure.
So I think the planning commission hearings have to be rewarned as well. Isn't that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess I'll make a motion to allow town committees, commissions, and boards to reconvene regular meetings, provided they post the entire contents of their agenda to Front Porch Forum, The Citizen, and Charlotte News at least 1 week before the meeting date. Contact any adjoining neighbors, if applicable, to an agenda item. Read H681 to make sure they're in compliance. Send an agenda to the select board liaison. And contact Dean if they need technical assistance using the town Zoom account.
The only, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank. Sorry.
I'm just wondering, on a personal Zoom account, does it record it automatically for them? And does it, do we do minutes?
Good question.
Oh, good question.
You have to, I think you have to set it to record, whether it's paid or free. There's a setting to make it record. But I do think it's a good question about, what do you do with that recording? Where does it get put and how do you make it accessible to people? So I think there has to be a little bit of work on that. And if the select board's okay with it, maybe I could task Daniel with that.
Yeah, and I would, friendly amendment, I would just say, instead of allow, I would say encourage.
Great, taken. Was there a second to this motion?
Yep, second.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, because at other points you had said regarding publishing the agendas in the paper that it was, if possible, you threw those words in there, but this time when you were making the motion, you did not say that. So I'm just curious which one it is. I mean, the implication of if possible was that if, it wasn't going to actually be published within a week, then are we going to have to wait and schedule our meeting until we can get it in the paper first?
The Charlotte News, right? Because that's published every 2 weeks, Matt.
Yeah, let me just clarify for the motion that for the Citizen and Charlotte News, the agenda would be sent automatically as soon as it's made, and with a note saying, could you please publish this agenda if it will be published before the date of the meeting?
I think that certainly for the planning commission, I think those postings need to be mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that they have to make it.
They've got to be posted. Yeah.
Well, by state statute, we have to have our meeting warned 15 days before, and they're supposed to be posted around. So for the zoning board, it's required.
So this motion doesn't need that, right? Because state statute trumps any motion here.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
But for the other committees and commissions, what do we think?
I mean, we're just putting a precedent. I mean, they got to be posted 48 hours beforehand. That's what Dean said. So, I mean, to put them in the Front Porch Forum several times within a week or two before the meeting, I think is great. To have to require them to post them around town, I mean, I think it's a good idea. But to have to warn neighboring properties when you're talking like the Energy Committee, they're talking about the whole town. So who do you warn?
Yeah, I think neighboring properties really only applies to the planning commission, and that's That's standard procedure anyway.
You gotta unmute, Matt.
Sorry. So we could strike that piece, the neighboring property, from the motion.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
part of procedure for the planning commission anyway,
And the zoning board.
and the zoning board. Yep.
I would just ask, as far as the agenda goes, that it include the Zoom link and a phone number. So if someone doesn't have a computer, they can call in.
Yep.
Good. Friendly amendment.
Great. Taken. Carrie, you second that still?
Sure. Yes.
Rebecca.
Could I ask on what Frank said most recently? It sounded like, Frank, you're not necessarily strongly saying that the physical posting is as important. Is that?
No, I think the physical for the zoning board, for the zoning board, I think that it should be posted
Right.
around town, and it should be on Front Porch Forum too.
And what about the other committees and boards?
For other committees and boards, I'm going to leave it up to the rest of the board. I mean, I think they should be, because, you know, I think, you know, as with anything, every attempt should be done to be as close to the statutes as we can. So to me, it seems like it should be done.
Okay.
I can leave an envelope outside the store. Somebody didn't want to come in.
Yeah. Or someone
Hey,
could
but-
take-
I'll post it.
Yeah, they
I'm gonna make an observation that's way down in the plumbing. You know, team, we really should give a contribution to Front Porch Forum, since we are relying on them. Not for tonight, not for a while, but just, you know, come on. Just an idea. I mean, seriously, because we're,
Oh,
I think
you got
you-
muted again.
Yeah.
Julianne?
Yes, I just wanted to make a note. I would recommend making every effort to use the library or town Zoom account for recordings, because you can keep them all in one place. You can keep them in the cloud, and you can keep them secure. It's a little, there are a lot still, I mean, they're working on the security stuff, but, and I can help Dean with any of that Zoom related stuff. Again, in a personal life, I have a lot of Zoom experience, so I'd be happy to help. But that's just my recommendation for meeting minutes and things like that. Thank you.
Oh, great. Sounds good.
Okay.
So would we want to make an amendment to that to say that they have to use the town or the library account?
I'd be comfortable with that. I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Carrie?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Longest motion in history. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Okay, 5-0, sounds like. Dee, maybe we can work on that tomorrow if you send me a draft.
Great. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Thanks.
Thank
Good night,
you.
Rebecca. Ooh. Wow, it does jump around. Okay, 7:40 Thompson's Point update on opening the wastewater treatment system.
So I did talk with Steve Williams today. And I guess just to back up a little bit, he has been working on it. And I guess just to recap a little while ago, a few weeks ago, there was an email that got sent out to leaseholders from the Thompson's Point leaseholders association that indicated that the leasehold that camp owners cannot occupy until the wastewater system is up and running. And also if they're coming from away, that they need to self-isolate for 2 weeks. And that was consistent with what ended up being the governor's executive order. So Steve and Jacob have been working to open the system. It's been pretty good weather, but Steve called today somewhat exasperated that there've been a lot of people, walkers on Thompson's Point, and they've at times gone in places where they shouldn't go, including into the plant area. And when he's been working on a particular setup and then he leaves and comes back, he's found things misarranged. So he feels like it's going to take him longer as far as locking the plant, unlocking the plant. And when he and Jacob are working separately, because basically they're covering for each other if one of them gets sick. So they don't live together. So they're basically working independently. But I guess the long story short is he feels it's going to take longer than he initially expected.
Dean, excuse me, I'm just going to sign off here, but if you would keep me posted about Daryl, okay?
Sure.
Not connection. All right. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you. Dean, I'm not getting this. People who are walking on Thompson's Point are vandalizing the system, or what's going
He
on?
didn't say actually vandalizing, but he said there was, for example, a child playing on an area where there's a wastewater treatment system, and he said there was someone walking in where the plant is, where the equipment is, who insisted he had a right to be there. Steve told him he didn't, but basically he feels with all the people around, and this is really coming from Steve, that he feels it's slowing him down. People are talking to him, they're not respecting social distancing, and he's getting slowed down by that.
Well, okay, there's a couple things going on here. There's one is we have to defer to the expert, which is Steve,
Right.
and how long he believes it's going to take him. That is very, very clear. The other thing is we need, as best we can, remind everybody to be respectful of what's going on. But so bottom line is I would defer to the expert here about how long it's going to take.
Right. Yeah, he didn't come out. He didn't have a date certain yet. I think, of course, the lease says April 15th. Initially, he came out with, he thought it looked like more likely April 20th for everywhere else. And then North Shore Road is usually around May 1st. He still hasn't come out with the specific dates for either of those areas.
Well, I think at this point, my 2 cents is, first of all and foremost, we defer to Steve because he's the expert and he knows what he's doing. Secondly, the critical thing right now is communication on this. We have to, if whatever this group decides, and I think Jim is the liaison, we defer to Steve, but man, we really, 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 really have to convey this to everybody in a million different ways, because people got to know they can't open their camps, right? I mean, am I missing something here? I usually do.
No, I think that message has gone out. I think maybe what may need to be messaged in combination with other messaging, as we may discuss later tonight. People on Thompson's Point, if they're recreating, they can stay on the road. They should pick up after their pets. And that's going to be a common theme, I think, for several recreation and town facility issues.
As far as I know, Louise, everyone who has a lease understands that they will be notified as soon as there's septic service to their camp.
Okay, I mean, I'm not part of that culture, so I don't know, but I just think, you know, after what happened last year, it's communication.
Yeah, there was a very good, I think, rapport with the Thompson's Point Leaseholders Association this year, and good coordination in getting the message out to that effect. There's Tristan.
That was just a commercial break.
Maybe we can have in the back of our minds, you know, the possible message on Front Porch Forum in terms of both on this topic and, you know, some of the other topics from Matt you mentioned as far as town facilities and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay. Any more on Thompson's Point?
No.
The land maintenance contract.
Oh, sorry. Hi, this is Mara Wigmans. Can I ask a question about the Thompson's Point situation?
Yes, please.
This has been probably a discussion that's happened, you know, like all around with vacations homes and everything. And I think Governor Scott has basically asked for people out of state not to come here. And I know, you know, obviously those people have a right to come to the house, but how did someone quarantine themselves for 14 days when they haven't been in their house for 6 months and they don't have any groceries? I mean, it's a logistical question. How can someone actually achieve the mandate? That's all.
I'm going to give you my 2 cents, which is they can't. Okay, so we just all got to be generous and kind. And if somebody comes up to their camp and they need groceries, they need to go to Lampman's, they need to go someplace and get the groceries. And we need to be compassionate. That's my 2 cents.
I know just my father-in-law is in Florida, and about a week and a half ago, before hotspots really started showing up and states started putting up whatever type of defensive requests they could as far as interstate travel, he said everyone who had, you know, their primary homes up north loaded up with groceries so that they would have them when they got to where they were going. So my hope would be people at this point understand the restrictions that Governor Scott has put out if they have a place at Thompson's Point and they are coming from out of state and are coming prepared to abide by that.
And that's something that has gone out to the leaseholders, just very specifically, that there is a quarantine period and everything that's been, you know, not just in a general terms, but to them specifically with other communications.
Dean, can you speak to that?
There was specific language about the quarantine. It didn't specifically say, come with your groceries. You know, it wasn't to that level of specificity. I think there was a trying to, you know, an objective to balance being concise and clear with giving too much detail.
And is the date of the camp's opening being pushed ahead? Like, I always thought it was May 1st, but you're talking about April 15th. Is May 1st not the septic system usually opens?
No.
In other words, are you advancing the date of opening the camps?
No. Your system was a little unstable there, so you broke up. But I think what you asked is the date being pushed up? No, the leases allow occupancy April 15th, but historically the wastewater system is not up and running by then. if it were to be up and running by then, they would be allowed to occupy by then. But historically, it's not possible, and it's according to Steve, looking probably it's not likely to be this year. You're muted, Matt.
Both conditions need to be met. The septic system, they have to have septic service to their camp, and it can't be before April 15th.
Right.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you. The 745 item, land maintenance contracts, possible delay of start due to executive order, Dean?
So we have two different contractors. One contractor is doing the town lands mowing, and a different contractor is doing cemetery mowing and brush hogging. The contractor that is doing the cemetery mowing works for himself, works by himself, and feels he can operate during this time. The other contractor has a crew, and they have concerns about operating during this time. So they wanted to, I guess, ensure that that's okay if they don't start on time. And conversely, I guess just want to ensure that it's okay for the other contractor who works for himself to start. I think there has been, I guess, differences of interpretations of what is considered an essential service, whether land maintenance is an essential service or not.
I think it's under the property services. I could get
Well, see, frankly, I think getting my hair cut and my roots done is essential services. I'm just saying that. I'm laying it out there, man. All you guys, come on. So by the time this is over, my hair's going to be down to my waist. It was just a joke. Never mind.
Mine too.
Right.
Yeah, but I know from work, I can't remember which it's I think section 6C is property services. I think it's to that category, and it's also it's not an in-person business. So it falls out of that executive order, which I think is like the number 1 of the list.
Okay.
But I can re-review that. Adam?
I was going to just say that my sources actually have come from you, from Dean. So I'll speak for me first. I am one single individual, so I actually am permitted to work because I have no contact with anybody. And so that's actually answered from the resource center. It's under the FAQs about a single person. So I fit that for you very well for both the cemetery and brush hogging. I think that, and I also have to comply with the addendum 5, which is telecommunication. I'm summarizing to some degree. And I think addendum 6, which is number 6, which is services or function in Vermont. I think it's M is what you're looking for, which is other building property services for safety, sanitation, operations, or other businesses. I think you fall under that. And I think that I would say to you, the select board, to support your land maintenance, your mowing maintenance for your properties to continue as best scheduled. For on the brush hogging side, this is the first year we're getting double cuts on all your properties. So that's poison parsnip controlled. People are going to walk in the fields. They're walking, everybody's walking around. Secondly, your lawns need to be mowed because there's poison parsnip on that, as well as control the ticks. And people who get bit by ticks is Lyme disease, and that's an immune system, which this COVID-19 loves. So I think maintaining your properties and your trees is very important to keep that scheduled as best as possible. And I think with Dale doing his part in this, I think that he can operate singularly so that, for instance, he could do the town square, and then somebody else could do the senior center, somebody else could do a ball field, so that they keep independent and by themselves. And I think that could be done very easily. So your property can be maintained.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it's the mowing or the spring cleanup work that's usually done as a team, as far as, you know, cleaning up and mulching and whatnot.
Well, I saw 4 crews up in South Burlington and in Shelburne today that had about 8 or 9 guys, and they were all together doing cleanup.
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily what they should be doing.
That's, I'm in agreement with that. It's happening. I think your cleanup is going to be a little differently if you take on the individualness that I think that can happen, or distancing certainly.
Yeah, and I know, you know, Landshapes is just having 1 employee per vehicle and
Yes.
maintaining 6-foot distance on the job site. And so they are capable of doing it. I think we need to have a conversation. Did Dale bring up this concern to you, Dean?
Yes.
So if people are okay, maybe I can call Dale and see if he's willing to figure out a way to limp along while staying in compliance. And if not, we'll bring this up, revisit it next Monday. Are people okay with that? I think for Adam's piece, we don't need to do anything. The contract's in place, and no action would be a thumbs up.
Yeah, we just need to sign the contract, but other than that, it's been approved and ready to go.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll come in and sign that whenever. Tomorrow.
Okay, so Matt, you're going to be in touch with Mo.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's everything on that.
Let's see. Next on the agenda, 7:55, the tennis courts, whether or not to keep open during stay safe, stay home executive order.
Just as to preparatory, Bill and Nicole had been in discussion and wondered whether or not to close the courts. I think, you know, they have been getting used, and they're both glad that they're being used, but they're wondering, as far as through this, whether that's a concern. So I did put it on the agenda, and as a result of that, I did receive a comment from a resident, which I put in the packet, and I can share with that. And then as a result of that, I think Jim found something from Johns Hopkins that indicated, you know, tennis can be a source of spreading the virus. Whoops, I meant to be sharing this. I guess I didn't share that. Hold on a second. Sorry, that's not what I meant to share. Maybe Bill can talk while I'm looking for the document.
So hello everyone. I have been talking with the rec directors around the area. We've had meetings and different
Can this
discussions.
person please identify themselves?
Yeah, it's me, Nicole.
Oh, hi, Nicole. How are you?
Can you see me?
No, but I'm glad you're on. Thank you.
Okay. And so I've been meeting with all the rec directors and just having discussion about what everyone's doing. And the only issue that I have seen with the tennis courts in other areas or in different recreational areas, there's people not following directions, what the state's asking and whatnot. So it's kind it would be great, and I would love to keep it open because I think that there's limited opportunities for people right now to get out and about. And I've gotten a wave of emails from people saying like, please keep it open. But I think that, you know, some towns have felt the need to, you know, take the nets away, or different, you know, they've even talked about taking the basketball hoops away just because people are playing 5-on-5. And so I think that seems to be the big issue. So my thought was just to watch how this all progresses and see, you know, how it goes. And I'm happy to do drive-bys, especially on nice days with Jordan, and just see how things are going. But I think it's just really important that, you know, we have like one group, like one household at a time using the courts, because I think that it's hard too, because we have the playground completely closed down, that it's hard to also ask, you know, people that you can't use the playground, but you use the tennis courts. So I felt like Bill and I wanted to kind of defer to you guys and see what your thoughts were.
Well, okay, here it comes, because you knew it was going to come from me.
I know, ready.
Yeah, I know. In the normal world, and we're not living in the normal world, I play tennis 5 times a week or more, as much as I can. I think this is an issue of personal responsibility. And I think we put the signs up, which is do distancing. I mean, you can play singles tennis and not get near anyone. You know, if you're worried about the tennis ball, and I didn't get quite a chance to read the whole thing, but, you know, if your dominant hand has your racket and the other hand has the tennis ball, I mean, I am really, really, really concerned about turning ourselves into the police state. I think we give people the opportunity, we tell them what the rules are, and we ask them to abide by the rules. I mean, you could even play doubles if you had a family group, but I just think to kind of cut off everything I think we need to give people the chance. And if they don't do it, well, they don't do it. I mean, sorry, you're talking to a really diehard tennis player. So I've said my piece.
Hey, Dennis, hey, Dean.
Yeah.
Can you bring up that article from John Hopkins? It was an FYI. Can you share that?
Yeah.
It's only, you know, it's not a very big paragraph. Kind of gives.
And Jim, I realize I may not being totally rational, but anyway, enough said.
No, I had sent that to you also. I just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to read it. It's just.
I saw it and I read it.
It's an FYI, you know.
I saw it and I read it. Thanks.
Okay.
You know, I would be supportive of, for the next 2 weeks while we're getting to the peak, closing down the courts. I think erring on the side of caution with this, I'd rather be overly cautious and regret doing so than not be overly cautious and find out about fatalities in our community, or wonder what our role was in allowing the transmission, because it's the not knowing piece that to me is the hardest decision point to weigh. It's, you know, if there are known variables, then those are easy calculations for me from a responsibility standpoint, but the unknown is not. You know, if people have to go without playing tennis for 2 weeks while we're at a point where you know, the Surgeon General of the United States is saying this is a Pearl Harbor moment, and we're looking at 100,000 to 250,000 deaths around the country, and we're not doing everything we can to try and safeguard people's lives. I have a hard time feeling totally comfortable with that. Are we going to shut everything down? Are we going to close the trails? Are we going to close the beach? Are we going to close the parks? I don't know how draconian we should be, but tennis is an inherently social activity, and there is a vector going back and forth even though hand washing really could mitigate that, or Purell at the court side where people could sterilize. There are mitigation procedures or protocols, but what's our role owning the property and opening up that facility for transmission to occur? And from a legal standpoint, what is our exposure, which to me is the least important, but also a consideration to think about. If someone wants to go play tennis on a private court, they know someone, that would be fine. Or on a court that's not officially open, and they do it guerrilla, that is, their personal choice. But for the town to sanction it, I think is really the decision that we have in front of us when it comes to these public facilities. What are we saying is okay to do based on the information we have? And tennis is really a questionable one for me.
Right, good. Now, you recognizing Bill?
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah. Thank you, Dean. Hi, Jim. Nice to meet you. Bill Fraser Harris from Recreation. Haven't met you yet. I hear exactly what you're saying, and I've been at the courts the last 3 days every day, and they've been used. And it was, Nicole's and our decision to open them as quickly as we possibly could at the beginning, based upon requests from the community. And the community requests that we have had strongly, of course, so far, strongly encourages us to keep them open. You've probably seen the letter from David Lyle, a physician, local physician, who encourages the balance of mental, physical health with the balance of COVID-19's sanitary needs. So there's a mental component to keeping the courts open that I just want you to know has been expressed quite strongly locally. And I can't say one way or another. I am an avid tennis player, but I'm certainly willing to sacrifice 2 weeks in the name of one person's potential not getting the disease. So that's why Nicole and I came to the select board, because it's a decision that probably should not rest on one individual. But I just want you to know, I did also go by Shelburne today. Shelburne courts are open. Also, I have posted on our courts COVID and around our beach area COVID-19 sort of separation requirements, et cetera, et cetera. And the people who I did interview at the beach today, all courts were occupied. All said, of course, that they wanted to keep the courts open, and that they were abiding from their own personal perspective by the requirements of Governor Scott. But that's another issue that I can't address. Personal responsibility and then government intervention are bigger discussions. Thank
Laura?
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Am I unmuted? Yes, okay. I guess I am one of the people who would like to see the tennis courts open. I have been going with my family, my 2 sons and my husband. We went by the courts on Sunday, and someone was playing on the first set of courts and the third set of courts, and we could have gone
Can
and
I
played
ask
on
who this is?
Maura Wigmans.
Hi,
Hi.
welcome.
Thanks. And we looked at that situation and said, from a personal standpoint, we were not comfortable playing on the middle set of courts because we felt like we were going to be in too close a proximity and our kids don't have good control of the balls. So we passed on. And that was, I think, again, the personal responsibility piece of the puzzle here where we could, but, please keep in mind that even if all the courts are in full use with all the possible people on the courts, that's 12 people. It's not a large number of people. It's really not people coming in contact with each other. What Shelburne has done is said, what we ended up doing is actually driving to Shelburne once we decided not to play in Charlotte on Sunday, drove by Shelburne courts. They were empty. And we played there alone. And the sign that Shelburne has up says, you may only play with your own family members. So that is the rule that they have established. So if I'm out hitting the ball with my husband and my 2 kids, we're already sharing all the same germs. There's no risk there, any more risk than just living together. So that's an option. I think there's, taking down the middle court maybe is an option to just limit the exposure. And I do agree that, there's personal responsibility here. And finally, one last thing I'd like to say is you just had a conversation where you felt that it was okay for the landscapers to do yard work and maintenance where they are working with one another. And but then tennis isn't okay. So I think there's a little bit of a mixed message there. I think if we're going to sacrifice things like tennis, then you should also sacrifice that whether the lawn is mowed at the town offices.
I see it might be Andrew Swayze has his hand up.
Hi. Let me just try to get the video on here. Can you hear me?
Gene Anderson Swayze.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys see me?
Not yet.
Not yet. We can hear you well.
Well, I can't figure that part out. But anyway, so let me introduce myself. I spoke to many of the select board members over the weekend. I'm a family physician. I practice down in Middlebury, and I am in support of keeping the tennis courts open. I think that there are some things that you guys could consider to make it safer. And with that said, I think that there's a very low likelihood that you would get coronavirus from playing tennis. The game is inherently coronavirus unfriendly. With that said, I think that if you could recommend that people don't play doubles, and also look at what else the courts are used for and just restrict it to singles tennis only. I think having all 3 courts open would be just fine. I've played tennis probably 4 times in the last week, and I have not witnessed any behavior that would predispose a player to picking up the virus. And I do feel it's very important at this time for people's mental and physical health to be able to have a variety of forms of recreation.
Thank you.
I might offer a suggestion that we go through a trial period. I am home. I'm willing to monitor. As Nicole said, she could do drive-bys. I'm happy to monitor it on a regular basis, put up the signage, put up more signage based on any requests you might have. But that's I'm certainly available to monitor on a regular basis if so requested.
Am I reading between the lines that playing pickleball on those courts would not be that good of an idea because it's such a closer proximity game?
I will speak to that only in that I do think any form of doubles, I think at the moment is potentially a slightly higher risk, and I think you can play singles pickleball as well as you can play singles tennis. So you might want to restrict both sports to singles, unless family.
Yeah, or family members.
Or family members, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard much from the select board members, but it sounds like
I'm just wondering if it would be better if the center court, the net was removed. That way there were just two courts that are far enough apart.
You're still more than 12 feet apart on, there's a lot of room on those courts.
I think whoever just said it, it's Louise, and I know I'm very, very biased on this one. I think, you know, if you get a family out there who wants to play doubles, they're already, my husband doesn't know how to play tennis, but maybe this would be a chance for him to learn. No, I think we need to leave these open, and we need to put up all the warning signs. And, you know, I'm willing to drive by every day and see what's going on. But I just think we can't let ourselves devolve into a police state. Sorry. So I would vote for leaving them open, putting up a big sign that says, you know, family groups for doubles, singles, whatever. And I really appreciate the doc who just spoke. She's right on.
Oh, you're on mute, Carrie.
Yep.
Now you should be okay. Carrie, you should be able to talk. Huh.
So while we're waiting for Carrie, Jim Faulkner again, the information that I received, you know, was on, I think, the New York Times, but it was from John Hopkins, tells a little bit different story than what I'm hearing here now. It was a lot to do with the ball itself, and it was to do with the air particles flowing back and forth, and the virus landing on, you know, athletic equipment that stays there for 3 or 4 days. So that article kind of says, hey, you really shouldn't be playing tennis. That doesn't mean that I'm agree with that. But I'm saying is I think it's a little bit more of a scientific approach than saying that, you know, we'll be careful. I just think that I don't know what kind of risk the town has here. And I just think we should take that into consideration. That's all. I wish the article could be brought up so you could all read it, but evidently.
Jim, I read it, and thank you for sending that. And I don't disagree with any of that. But if you play tennis, what you know is your dominant hand has the racket, and the other one has the ball. So you can wear a glove on the non-dominant hand and handle the ball with that. I'm just concerned that we, you know, we're just being too cute by 20 yards. I know. Anyway, I've said enough. I have nothing more to say. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, I think that, Louise, I understand that too. I obviously don't want a police state at all, but I also want to make sure that we're well informed about the potential risks involved. That's all. And really, I agree that, you know, there's probably a lot of room on that court and so forth and so on. But the expert from John Hopkins who does this for a living is saying absolutely not. So
no, I hear you, and thank you, and thank you for sending that. And I did read it, and maybe I'm just being stubborn, or you know, maybe we're in. Anyway, I've said enough. And Jim, thanks for sending.
Sure, you're welcome.
I might say one more thing, and that is just we are all in a period of risk, and you know, we might get onto Philo here in a minute too, but wherever we go now, where we encounter other people, at whatever distance that is, there is risk involved, be it the grocery store, be it even disc golf at the park, be it a picnic table at the park, be it wherever we are doing whatever we're doing, there is a little risk involved.
You're muted, Matt. You're muted.
Carrie, you've been on mute. Do you want to talk? Carrie, you're on mute. Still on mute, Carrie? Can't hear you, Carrie.
Julianne, yes.
I was just going to suggest maybe Carrie leave and come back in. It might be just a setting on her tablet for when she did something. Sometimes that happens.
Did you
No
hear
matter
that, Carrie? Julianne, could you say that again?
I was just saying, could she like leave the meeting and come back in and see if that helps? Because she looks like she's unmuted, but you can't hear her.
So on the low, is that the lower right? It says leave meeting and then a
It's
say,
Yeah, just an idea, because I think something happened to her audio because she's unmuted,
right?
but no one can hear her.
Carrie, do you want to try that? You'll leave the meeting and then join again?
We'll still have a quorum.
Can I ask a question too
Yes.
about, so people are obviously still getting together. I mean, we go down to the town beach too. It's lovely. I just had a question about like just, I know you're supposed to pack in, pack out, but we've noticed that people are not doing that. And just wondering if someone would pick up the case of Corona bottles that are on the beach. There's like glass bottles on the beach again. So just wanted a heads up.
Is there trash on the beach?
There is Corona bottles.
Okay, I'm on it. I'm doing it tomorrow. I'm all over it.
We just don't offer trash at the beach, right? We don't offer a place to recycle.
No. Listen, it's Louise. I'll go down and take care of it. No problem. I've got lots of big trash bags, and actually Wednesday is our trash day, so no problem. Is that Nicole? Who was speaking?
Oh, this is Julie. Julianne Phelps from the Charlotte.
Okay, listen, I will. I'm on it.
Can I
I'll
say
do it
one other
tomorrow.
kind of gross thing? I'm really sorry to say this, guys.
No. And no, it's really important. It's so important to our psyche that we keep things organized and clean. And I'm totally on cleaning up the beach tomorrow.
Well, the rest of it is totally fine, but I just wanted to let you know somebody else used it, like the beach as the bathroom.
Well, that I'm not willing to do. Okay.
I just wanted to.
I'm drawing the line at the bottles.
I just wanted you guys to know that people are still congregating and getting together and all this stuff, but there's like, it's just happening, and it's nothing against anybody at the town. I just wanted you guys to know.
Well, you know what? I have bleach. What I'll do is I'll bring some bleach and we'll pour it over the poop or whatever, and I'll clean up all the bottles, and I'm on it. No problem.
Okay.
Like Maura has hand up.
Maura?
Well, there was something on Front Porch Forum last night about a disturbed person riding a bike carrying a guitar. I don't know if you saw that, but no, I'm serious. I have seen this person down at the town beach as well. So there may be some homeless person actually camping out down in that area.
Well, I guess the question then is, how do we get that?
And I don't know if you want to call state police and have them come.
No, I think the question is, how do we get that person some help? And I just don't know enough to know that, but I will definitely clean up the beach.
So is the select board okay with, I think, where the discussion kind of meandered, which would be to have Bill and/or Nicole put up a sign saying tennis is for singles only, doubles for people of the same household?
I think that, whatever warning you can do in a nice way would be important. Some signage to clearly state, there's a risk involved here, so be careful and do what you're supposed to do. And if we do it in a nice way, we might be able to keep the courts open, But the same issue is that playground's pretty close to those courts. So how is that being monitored? Are those closed?
If I could answer that for you, Jim. Nicole and I have we have posted it as closed, officially closed. There's a sign, I think I sent to you, Dean, of the signage that I put up down there, closing that off. The somewhat regrettable event that occurred probably yesterday was that I also orange taped all of the equipment so that it would not be used. And unfortunately, that orange tape has now vanished. So people, I think, are using the playground despite our requests and or taping it off, or there is a vandal down there just deciding to do that item. But yes, that officially the playground has been closed. It's been posted as closed. There's been signage on it, and there's been tape put on it to make sure that everybody knows that it's closed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you can do much more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I noticed REARC put up a picket fence around the whale tails on Interstate 89, because so many people were going there and congregating. So, you know, when the playground was under construction, we had that orange netted fencing, temporary plastic fencing. If it does become a bigger problem, I think we could look into doing that.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I posted signage on March 17th, closing down the playground, and then Bill had instructed me that the signs are no longer there, and laminated them and put them all over. So I just know the only reason why I just brought up the discussion is just because the personal responsibility doesn't seem to be there with the community. But again, that's why I just wanted to bring it up via group to get everybody's consensus on it, because I think that's the main issue. Because we're all hearing the instructions from the state. It's whether people think that those directions apply to them or not.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the beach is not open right now, right?
No, and the water's not on. I mean, nothing of the beach is open. So I just knew that the playground was just is a big part of, you know, spreading it. And so then from there, I didn't think tennis, you know, in the beginning would be something. But then as we've restricted the amount of exposure we've had to ourselves and others, and basically telling you to stay within your own household, kind of now has brought up more questions to me, because I don't think that sometimes we're all being socially responsible, which is unfortunate for those who are doing the right thing and just want to get out and play tennis.
More thoughts on the playground from select board members?
I'll just say I'm going to tape it off again, you know, at my earliest convenience. I only saw that the tape was down this afternoon. So, but
I have a sign we could put up temporarily, maybe on the bathhouse wall facing the playground. It says these premises are under surveillance. Is Louise listening?
Yes, I am. So like, okay, I know. I'm Queen Bitch.
I'm just kidding.
I understand that's a moniker that I've had before. And I'm very happy to go down. I'll go down and clean up the beach tomorrow, and you put up it, they're under surveillance, and you know, the Queen Bitch will be here from time to time.
You know, I think that if we're going forward, we see more people who don't take responsibility, that orange fence around the playground, well, I think would be a good thing to do, because that's a real
vector
harbor for that disease. So you know.
Yeah, and Jim, I totally agree with you on the playground.
Yeah, I think that bothers me. Mom and dad play tennis, and the kids go over and run around on the playground, and so I hate to see it fenced off. But if they're taking down the tape and they're getting rid of the signs, well, you know they're using it then. So if you put that orange safety fence, I guess it is, around it, it's a little bit of more of a, hey, look, you're not supposed to use this.
Yeah, it's to keep the innocent honest, they say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So maybe that's a thought along the way here.
Looks like Nicole has a hand up.
I did, but I just decided to speak, so it's okay.
Thank you. Please do.
Bill,
as
what do you
informal
think
as
about
usual. These meetings.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I would say that someone in town, I also wanted to get back to Front Porch Forum and personal responsibility a little bit. You may have seen my posts recently about Philo and
Dog poop.
and the same to you, madam. Thanks, Louise. Now I've lost my train of thought. Oh, personal responsibility.
So
No,
I'm sorry, Bill.
the Front Porch Forum, because I do think that we could post this on a fairly regular basis, that, you know, this is a big consideration for us. And if the privileges are abused, you know, and put it nicely, as you say, Jim, I mean, you can, I don't think I've ever been too harsh on Front Porch Forum, but I think we can, in a manner which is becoming to Charlotte, make it very clear that we're trying our best to keep facilities open, but also you gotta own up to your own personal responsibilities here, and just go with that. You know, publish it a few times, and then I think somebody's got to have some orange fencing in town. Maybe Junior has some. I don't know. Maybe, did you say you had some, Matt?
No, but I could price some out, you know, at Essex Equipment, or put something on Front Porch Forum even. And
Yeah, some construction person around town is bound to have some that they'll lend to us. Even the people that put up the Nicole, maybe we could ask, I can't remember his name now, the guy from the playground. Justin, thank you. Maybe we could ask him to borrow that orange fencing again.
Yeah. I can
We'll
put
get it.
something on Front Porch Forum too.
Yeah, if you want it fenced off, we'll fence it off.
yeah, if it's not much expense, I think that would be kind of escalating the message to the next level if people are disrespecting, you know, the closure of it.
Okay.
I think what we're really trying to do is just put our best foot forward. That's it. I mean, all of us don't want people to stop recreating, that's for sure. But we're just trying to find a way to get through the next few weeks or month to make sure people are safe. That's all we're really trying to do here.
Are we canceling the town bobbing for apples contest?
Oh, come on. Hey,
Just
Jim,
because
I
you-
really appreciate your comments. No, we're, you know, why would we cancel the bobbing for apples?
What could go wrong?
Yeah, Matt wins it every year.
It's this big tooth I got. So, okay, I think that's pretty productive. We don't need to make any motions. Everyone's kind of feels empowered to do what they need to do.
Nicole, you and I will figure it out, how we sign it and get it done. Okay.
Sounds good.
And thanks,
Hey,
Louis.
and Matt, can I, if I collect all those bottles and shit from the beach, I know my garbage guys will take care of them. I'll just do it. No problem.
Oh yeah, like last time too. Just give me a call.
Okay.
I don't do composting, but the bottles I can do.
I'll work something out. So I'll clean it up tomorrow. Okay. Hey guys, this has been great. We're all in this together.
Wow. Okay. So now we are at the adjustments of the agenda. Everyone's still with us?
Right. So at Thompson's Point, we typically have Casella put out dog waste, 3 dog waste barrels. That usually starts in May. And I received a couple of phone calls that things were getting pretty nasty down there. I did take a drive-by today. It didn't seem that terrible, but it does seem like, you know, people are kind of putting, you know, bagging it, but not doing anything with it. So having barrels down there could provide a place for people to throw, and just with more people down there, it seems like that would be a way to avoid, you know, what could become a kind of a messy situation. So it's in the neighborhood of $27 a month for that to happen.
I'll make a motion to restart the Thompson's Point dog waste pickup 1 month early.
I'll second that.
Swap shirt. What?
Any more discussion?
Oh, cute.
Usually you put it like right over your heart, Casey, just so you know.
No.
Or you might be unmuted.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to sign on.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks for joining us. No more discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Not opposed. Carrie, you're forcing me to learn how to read lips.
What did she say? Did she say, or she's in favor? 5-0?
Can't see anything.
Yes, she's in
She could do
favor.
She could do thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, so that's decided. So next item, zoning permits and violations. I guess, I mean, some amount of that work can be done remotely. But if we, and I'm not entirely sure, there's a lot of, people applying for permits right now. I haven't, there's not really any mail to speak of on Daniel's desk. But I just, the question came up whether we're able to issue zoning permits. And, out on there's a zoning administrator's listserv. Some towns are doing it, some towns aren't doing it, some towns are doing it. And I'm not sure they're really providing the notices that really are required. Most town offices are closed and you're supposed to post the zoning permit in the town office. Some towns do have something outside the town office they can post at. But anyway, it does involve a little bit more, having the zoning administrator out inspecting properties, in the town hall. So I just wanted to check whether that's something select board, wants, or if you want to go for a couple of weeks with that on hold.
Yeah, I would leave it up to the discretion of the zoning administrator. If he feels like he can issue or can pursue a violation, he should. If he feels like he can't, he should feel empowered to hold off on that.
Okay.
What do other people think?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
I wouldn't take it directly off the table that he can't do it. I'd leave it up to Daniel's discretion or Daryl's discretion, whichever the case may be, to continue with their job as they see fit.
Okay.
I agree with Frank.
Yeah, same with me. I agree with Frank.
Okay, great.
Consensus?
Say that. Next item is Mount Philo State Park. I forwarded an email from the state. Their concerns have been expressed about, lack of social distancing, a lot of people using it, dogs a little bit out of control, dog waste not being picked up. I had been in touch with Bill about that, and he, one of the problems early on was people parking in the grass, and he put up some taping to keep people from doing that. But the state felt that some messaging from the select board could be useful on that. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Does the state already have the messaging there?
Go ahead, Dean, go ahead.
Well, I haven't been there, but my understanding is early on there was, but I don't think there's, they're not really, state isn't really working at this point, technically.
Right. So what I did, just FYI, kind of on my own recognizance, in that I walk Mount Philo every day, and I fielded a couple of the complaints that have been surfacing when they were addressed to Dean, and Dean CC'd me on them. And so I've kind of become a little bit involved because the state is at home. they're not there. There's no representation there whatsoever. And John and Carol Snow are manning the poop stations. That's been their responsibility for a couple of years now, off season. And so I volunteered to help kind of convey information to the state based on my availability to be there every day about the crowding, the parking on the grass, et cetera. So I volunteered to put up the taping and the stakes to keep people off the grass. But I was also requested by Ruben, who is the state parks and rep or parks manager. He's in Rutland. I was asked not to put up any specific signage because they like their signage to be uniform, shall we say. They don't want individual input into that. They like it to come from a state level. So the dog poop issue, it actually, if the report is, it's actually very good. There's no real dog poop issues at the moment on Philo. There are some leash law violations that occur that I've forwarded to Dean that I've addressed as well. So, but I'm happy to answer any specific questions about Philo.
Carrie is holding up something. I can't quite, this is a dog problem on Pease Mountain too. There is a dog problem on Pease Mountain too.
TWO? Sorry. It's too late for jokes.
I guess, another question that was raised is social distancing, whether that's, is there signage on that bill or?
The state has a COVID-19 sign up that's on the bulletin board at the base of the mountain. It does not mention dog poop or anything. It's basically a social distancing request that they have posted at all of the state parks. And that's the only signage that they have come out with at the moment.
And just to dovetail to the conversation, national parks are closed. If this becomes a big enough crisis, there will be an addendum and state parks will get closed also. But I think that's really the jurisdiction of the governor and the state. And I know there's been some back and forth in the email of whose responsibility the state park is. Is it part of Charlotte or not part of Charlotte? Of course, having thousands of people visit a part of our town impacts us locally, but it still, as far as I understand, is the state's responsibility to manage.
Yeah, I certainly think they understand that. I think there was, they maybe misinterpreted, I guess, a comment, or maybe a member of the public misinterpreted a comment that looked a little bit like finger pointing to say, okay, it's up to the state to enforce dog issues. But I think they're basically letting, if the town were to decide, there's some that it's the select board were to feel that it's desirable to keep it open. I think the state would like to keep it open, but they may feel pressure to close it if the situation gets out of control.
Well, I think that's their call. If they decide that it's out of control, then they have the right to close their park.
I agree with Frank. But I also recommend to all of you that when you have a chance, go online, Waylon Jennings, The World's Gone Crazy Cotillion. It's a great song.
Okay.
Sorry, team. I just, I'm really torn between taking care of everyone, which I totally agree with, and not letting ourselves devolve into a police state. And I listened to Jim, and Jim had great things to say. I honestly don't know where we come down on this one.
Yeah,
but it's difficult.
I don't think it's, I mean, the select board doesn't have the option of closing the park. It's really a question
Exactly.
of if there's any kind of messaging to do around it, or
Well, we should do all kinds of messaging. Dean, I totally agree with that. Signage, whatever, but,
I guess I was thinking or wondering about Front Porch Forum as a medium.
sure. I mean, most of us read it. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be such a curmudgeon, but I'm really worried about, I hear what Matt says, and I don't disagree with what Matt says, but it's like, what do we do next? If you can't pee on your front porch, what's going on? Sorry, that's a bad joke.
Okay. On that note,
sorry.
So the next item I had raised was Charlotte Park, but actually had some back and forth with Jenny, and it seems like that's not really an issue at this point. So I don't think we need to discuss that. Matt, you had some additional comments or things to talk about in terms of. Oh, actually, I did have one more. Just delaying staff performance reviews.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And now, Matt, you talked about dropping non-essential work for budget savings and then potentially closing some town facilities.
Yeah. So the first one, basically between now and June 30th, we have the opportunity to restrict spending to what we consider to be essential spending only, using that surplus to help defray the municipal tax burden for the next fiscal cycle when we set the tax rate in August or late July. So I guess I just wanted to, I've been having people talk to me, ask me about, are we going to be doing that? People are out of work. I talked to Mary about, one person asked me if the town would consider doing what other towns do, which would be to have quarterly property tax payments permissible instead of doing it all in one lump sum requirement. She was not in favor of doing that, although she says she can get a little better in her messaging because she's willing to take a payment any day of the week if people want.
That's what sorry, Matt, but that's what Mary told me, was that we don't have a quarterly payment, but she will take payments whenever they come in.
Right. So that was the other avenue, would be extending the timeline, which prepayments does not permit, which is what Mary's suggestion was. But if people only owed a quarter of their taxes in November, or half of their taxes in November and the other half 6 months later, that gives people time to catch up. So that is an option within the authority of the select board.
Could there be an option of, I know if you don't pay on time, there's a penalty and interest. Would there be a possibility of deferring the penalty and interest for an extra 6 months before it takes effect?
I think every year Mary has us waive that that ability. She comes with like a one-pager that says we'll waive the state statute that allows for that penalization.
Right.
And we have waived it each year. She just doesn't think that that's right, to exercise that.
Okay.
But then, so the flip side is, what can we do from a cost savings perspective to try and lower the tax bill? I went ahead and talked to Junior today, because really one of the largest annual expenses that may be discretionary would be the annual paving. And if our roads, which I personally think they are compared to all the other towns I drive in, if our paved roads are at an A+ right now, and we do some paving deferment, that's $235,000 even if we deferred half of the paving this year, would that knock our roads down to a minus or a B plus? So I asked Junior about it, and just for his thoughts, I said, I haven't talked to the board about this yet. I just kind of wanted to bounce the idea off of you and really just get a sense of what you think about it. If it's crazy, if you think it's possible. He thought we could probably responsibly defer half of that 235 budget. He said we'd have to do the ferry road because we got the state grant that pays for like 80% of it. But right now he's having a hard time even getting bids because all the pavers have all their employees laid off right now.
Right, but we'd also have to change the RFP to limit it to just Ferry Road.
Right. We would have to kind of rescind the RFP and issue a new one, which I think we have the time for because no one's even submitting bids right now.
Right. We haven't issued it because of that.
You know, the other thing is because a couple years ago he front loaded this to the spring, any money that's not used, we could do in the fall again and then still do another spring one. You know, we'd still have all of that money to not really throw us off that much. But it would give us the option of returning, you know, $100,000 to start. The only kind of catch that he was concerned about was being singled out. So if we were gonna,
we could do that with the tree cutting.
Right. Well, yeah, with this year's tree cutting.
Yes, not the one we just did, but the next year.
Right. And so that's what he would like to see if like the select board wanted to go in that direction of trying to save taxpayer money, to really have it be, you know, a fair system of maybe doing a flat cut of every committee or just looking at it so that it seemed fair and like he wasn't being picked out because he has a big budget.
Well, plus, no, I hear what Junior's saying, but deferring important maintenance is not going to save us anything in the long run.
Well, that was the point I was made sure to flesh out with him, and he thinks deferring half of it would not sacrifice safety or road quality. You know, he also made the point it's been $235,000 for 14 years, maybe, or 20. It was either 14 or 20 years.
Wow.
So it used to get like 6 miles of paving done, and now it gets like 3.5 miles of paving done because of the price per ton. So, you know, it may be that on the rebound of, you know, the economy that we look at upping that 235 just naturally. Although, you know, again, there's also the price of asphalt is largely dependent on the price of oil, and we're at rock bottom.
No, we haven't seen the bottom yet. Trust me.
We might get a lot more, you know, when the bids come in. So it's all kind of moving parts. But if people are okay, maybe we could really look at the budget kind of maybe over half an hour on the 13th with this lens and just see what's available and what we want to do.
Yeah, Matt?
Yes.
I'm all for that. I just, yeah.
Can I weigh in here just for a second?
Please, Jim.
Yeah, I hear about the amount of money that the road commission gets and so forth, but I think if you're going to make a cut, I think you got to do it across the board. You know, I think every department got to go back and look at their budget, and if you're going to, I think it's wrong to pick on just one department because it has quite a bit of money. I mean, or has an allotment. I think you should really go to every department. That'd be the library, it'd be the fire, rescue, everybody, and say, hey, look, we're in different times now. We got to cut the budget, and everybody is going to do their fair share. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I agree. I
agree.
That's how we should look at it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't disagree, but we have a vote that has to go through, and it's based on a vote in March. So the budget that we're going to vote on sometime between now and hopefully June 30th is a budget that that's already been approved to be voted on.
Yes, I think the piece of that is while a budget is approved by the townspeople, it's up to the select board to spend it, and not spending that money is within our authority. It might be politically treacherous because people have an expectation
Suicidal.
that, yeah, that you spend what they authorize. At the same time, at town meeting, people didn't have the information they have right now. I think with the Australian ballot getting pushed off, it'll be a much more informed vote as far as whether people want to spend that money this year or not.
And just to be clear, what happens if the votes no on this budget? Where does it go from there?
Goes back to the select board.
The select board is required to come up with a new budget and have another vote until a budget passes.
So that would be an opportunity if it got voted down to reevaluate the budget to be voted on.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding also. The only way it can really happen, any changes in that budget would have to, the vote would have to go down.
Well, we're always authorized to underspend the budget. That's within the select board statutory authority.
I thought, yeah,
The
okay.
select board is not required to spend every dollar that was approved to be spent.
So so what we've got is a number that we cannot spend more than.
Right.
Yeah.
Theoretically, although deficits also happen, and we have a retention that we keep as a contingency for that. So yeah, but yes.
So educate me real quick here. We just approved a contract for the ash trees. That must be something that's already been approved in the past.
That was approved last town meeting. So
Okay,
all the money
so-
being spent from now until June 30th was approved town meeting 2019.
I thought that didn't we double the budget for the ash trees at the town meeting?
That would be for starting in July 1st, if it passed.
Okay, all right, I got you. All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, let's check it out and see what we come up with. Maybe nothing, maybe something. The other piece of this that I just want to put out there with all of us, but if the discussion gets more public, about 1 out of 11 cents of people's property tax burden is the municipal budget. And 35% of 40% of the municipal budget is taken care of with revenue. So the tax obligation from the municipal budget is a pretty small piece of people's property tax burden. So even if we did huge lifting and slashed the municipal budget, we're not going to be moving the needle that much on people's property taxes, because 10 out of 11 cents is already being burdened by the state education funding system. So I just want everyone to kind of know what effect we will have here going into this.
Right.
Do you want?
But Matt, sorry.
I was just going to ask, do you want messaging to go out to any, the library or fire and rescue as far as next Monday's meeting?
No, I think it's just going to be an initial discussion. I mean, they can see the agenda item. Will be maybe you and I can craft what that is going to be entitled.
Yep.
But I think it's just going to be a half an hour discussion of the select board. I don't think we're expected to make any decisions, and I don't think we're in a rush to.
Okay.
But if we come to some type of consensus about a direction we want to go, and it moved in the direction of making cuts, then I would, invite people who manage departments to be able to weigh in on that.
Right.
Does that sound judicious?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Am I still muted?
No.
Hey, you're back.
Okay, good.
And the last one, I think Dean was, oh, Bill?
Yeah, quick question, Matt. Forgive me, two questions. One is the ash tree, and you, Jim, may have clarified this, but we just agreed to spend $20,000 from this year's budget. Is that correct? That's not
Yeah. The current year's budget, yes.
the current year's budget, right? So why aren't we trying to save that money if the check hasn't been written yet?
Well, we haven't had the discussion yet, for one, so there's a cart before the horse. Two,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have my personal opinion. I mean, it's been clearly laid out, and Vermont is one of the last states to deal with this, that the places that have waited to spend the money spend way more money because services aren't available and the price goes up.
On the ash trees, right.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my next question was briefly, so we are coming into recreation spending season a little bit up until, we still have money to spend on till the June 30th budget ends. Are you saying that is okay at this point to be allocating, requesting vendors to do stuff up until, as long as it's within the June 30th budget?
No comment. We're visiting this. That I would say the select board hasn't said anything. There's no guidance there. So if you're on schedule to do something, I don't think anyone said not to.
Okay.
At the next meeting on Monday, we're going to be looking at whether or not we want to restrict spending for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know what else to say there.
Okay, well, no, I think it would be responsible to hold off at, on what we perceive to be non-urgent items, right?
Yeah, that would be a great thing to do until we come up with a decision here in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Matt, when are the trees coming down?
I think Greg said he could start by Monday. We just would need a written contract and a certificate of insurance.
Is that the money you were talking about, Bill, about saving?
Yes.
That's correct. I just, if we were talking about saving money, I thought we might start like right away, but that was just my thought, and Matt answered it. So
I don't think we have time enough to save any money on the ash trees. He's going to stop Monday. Right? I mean,
that's my take on it.
You better get out there Monday.
Unless they don't sign the contract.
What was that? Who was that?
I'm not sure. I don't know if you're done with that or not, but another item you had, Matt, was potentially closing some town facilities.
I just wanted to check in and see if any of the select board members had any desire to look at that.
Oh, not at this time.
Okay. Yeah. And again, I think every week is something different. This week, the CDC is recommending everyone wear face masks in public. So things are
Well, we
changing.
can take up a lot of this stuff on Monday.
Yeah.
To reevaluate how the situation goes.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
I never thought the bandanas that I had from high school would ever come into fashion again, but they are.
Good thing you saved those.
That's what I've been saying to myself. And you can get bandanas at Carrie's store, just so you know, $2 a pop.
But there might only be 2 left.
I think that's it.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
We have 4 seconds. Discussion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Thanks, Bill.
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, thanks to all you guys for doing this. We're in this, we're doing well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.